Hi everyone, in this lesson we're going to look at comparing quantities using fractions and percentages. Here's our first example. There are 20 red counters and 30 blue counters in a bag. What fraction of the total counters are blue? It's important we understand the wording of these questions. What fraction of the total? This word of tells us what my denominator is going to be. So my denominator is going to be the total. Let's work out what the total is. Well, there are 20 red and 30 blue, so the total is the addition of these two numbers. So there are 50 counters, that's my total. Fraction of the total counters are blue. Well, there are 30 blue counters of the total. Remember we said that tells us my denominator is the total. So 30 50ths. We then want to simplify that, write it as a fraction in its simplest form. If I divide the numerator and denominator by 10, that gives me 3/5. So 3/5 of the total counters are blue would be my answer. Give this question a go. There are 15 lions and 25 tigers in a wildlife reserve. What fraction of the total animals are tigers? I'm looking for the fraction of the total that are tigers. Okay, so there are 15 lions and 25 tigers, so 25 is going to be my numerator. What fraction of the total animals are tigers? Well, we're assuming there's only lions and tigers. The total would be the lions add the tigers, like this. So that would be 25 over the total. Well, 15 and 25 is 40. Then we want to simplify this fraction. So both divisible by 5, divide 25 by 5, divide 40 by 5 to give me 5/8. What fraction of the total animals are tigers? 5/8. So we've got a few more examples here, and the reason I'm showing you these is to draw your attention to the way they're worded. It's really important that we understand what different wordings mean. What fraction of 45 minutes? So remember, when we see this word of, that's going to tell us what our denominator is. So in this case, it's going to be 45 minutes. What fraction of 45 minutes is 18 minutes? So the fraction I'm going to form here is 18 over 45. In other words, what fraction is the 18 relative to the 45? Like this. Simplify this fraction, so both divisible by 9, 18 divided by 9 is 2, and 45 divided by 9 is 5. So what fraction of 45 minutes is 18 minutes? My answer is 2/5. Give this question a go and just be very careful with the wording. So what fraction is x of y? What fraction is 6 minutes of 12 minutes? Here's our key word that tells us the denominator. In this case, the denominator is going to be 12. What fraction is 6 minutes of 12 minutes? Well, it's going to be 6 over 12, which is a half. Last example for this short lesson. What percentage is 30 of 80? Again, that's our keyword. Of 80 tells us the denominator is going to be 80. What percentage is 30 of 80? That's the fraction I'm forming. And I want to turn this fraction into a percentage. Let's simplify it to start with. If I divide by 10 on the numerator, that takes me to 3. Divide by 10 on the denominator to take me to 8. 3/8, well, I know 1/8 is equal to 0.125. 2/8 is equal to 0.25 or a quarter. So 3/8 is going to be 0.125, add 0.25, which is 0.325. Now the eighths are one of those fraction decimal equivalencies that we just need to know. So 30 over 80 is 3 over 8, which is equal to 0.325. And to turn a decimal into a percentage, we multiply by 100. I'm going to say 0.325. I'm going to multiply that by 100 to turn it into a percentage, is 32.5%. What percentage is 30 of 80? 32.5%. Pause the video and give this question a go. So hopefully you noticed the wording here. What percentage of 90? That's my denominator, is 120. What percentage of 90? That's my denominator. 90 is my denominator. 120 is my numerator. So this is going to be a fraction greater than 1 because this number on the numerator is greater than 90. Divide through by 10, turn it into 12/9. Then I would divide through by 3 on the numerator and on the denominator to give me 4/3. Then let's turn it into a decimal. So that would be 1 and 1/3. And 1/3 is 0.3 recurring. So it's 1.3 recurring as a decimal. To turn it into a percentage, we multiply by 100. So that takes me to 133.3 recurring percent. If you're using our lesson booklets, you can now complete exercises 1 and 2. Thank you for watching.